Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. So let's wait a few seconds until our audience joins. So while you're joining, once again, thank you for attending this webinar by Gurtam, Pod Group, and Choice Telematics. My name is Kseniya Dolia. I am VP of Technology Partnerships at Gurtam. The topic of our today's discussion is how to succeed in video telematics industry, first-hand experience. That's a first Gurtam virtual event around video telematics this year. So as always, stay tuned. You will see more of these during the year. So now back to our topic. The use of video solution in automotive industry is hard to overestimate. One might even say that the use of cameras becomes a norm in commercial fleet space. And as you see on our first slide, the numbers are quite overwhelming because Berk Insights estimates that the number of video telematics systems in North America and Europe reached almost 2.9 million units in 2020, and the forecast is more than 6 million units by 2025. So the reasons of that are quite simple there on the surface. So video information combined with driver performance and vehicle data increases fleet efficiency, provides evidence required in disputable cases, and improves driver and passenger safety. And moreover, it even changes drivers' behavior on the road. But the question is how to implement a video solution correctly. Will a video device, hardware device, be enough to succeed in video telematics? As usual, the things are not that simple, and our next slide shows the ecosystem actually we have to consider. So the video telematics solution includes different elements of the puzzle, which is connectivity, which is, of course, the device, the software to process and show the information. But of course, it also requires skill and the expertise to implement the solution correctly. So luckily, I have my experts today to show how those elements can work together and how to implement them and how to answer basically the demands of the customer. So allow me to present you Sam Colley, CEO at Pod Group.
Hi there, nice, thanks all for joining.
Jan Subotkin, Wialon implementation consultant at Gurtam.
Hello, thank you.
And Ryan Clemons, CTO at Choice Telematics.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. Before we jump into the discussion, reminder to our audience, please use the question tab. We will do our best to answer the most interesting questions during this webinar, and also use the chat to leave your feedbacks, your experience with video telematics, and your expert opinion. So I would like to open this discussion with connectivity. So Sam, could you please let us know how to succeed in video telematics, what to take into consideration while choosing a connectivity provider for a video solution?
I'll do my best, yes. So just as a brief introduction to Pod and who we are, just onto the next slide, if possible. But so, essentially connectivity is evolving, and I think, the connectivity providers out there, particularly for IoT, need to evolve with them if we're going to succeed in achieving mass IoT and deployments across various different applications and use cases, from, classic telematics all the way through to video telematics, which, are very different. And so, at Pod Group, we feel that the traditional MVNO model is really no longer kind of designed for that, and all of the different variables that need to be considered, particularly as the connectivity market continues to evolve, and now there are increasing number of elements within it, particularly as globalization happens, and then also introduction of new technology, be it eSIM or EUICC, private LTE. And then also the expansion of channel and the ability to kind of seek recurring revenues in new markets and via new ways. And so really kind of providing, or someone providing a service to manage all of these different elements is really going to be important. And that's where, as Pod Group, we've come up with the concept of the enterprise network operator, where it's no longer just about providing megabytes and minutes, but becoming an infrastructure partner and providing platform as a service or network as a service if needed, and an array of different connectivity solutions to try and help our customers succeed. And so that's just a brief introduction to Pod, and then moving on to get into the video telematics itself. Next slide, please. The video telematics market, as Kseniya kind of touched on, is a market that has a lot of potential and will grow pretty significantly over the next few years. And I think penetration today in the US at least is still only between about 5 and 10%. And so there really is a lot of growth in it, and but it is very different to the traditional telematics market, and therefore we've had experience working with different customers where it is a bit of a steep learning curve, and obviously that experience has helped us kind of help other customers get to market quicker and with less problems. And so on to the next slide, please. And so but it's also still, as I said before, a confusing landscape, and there's lots of questions that were always asked, about what technology we need to use or what network performance is required to run a video telematics solution, and even then, questions around the terminology eSIM or EUICC and what that is, and essentially what that is just the ability to reprogram your device OTA via the platform itself with a new SIM profile, essentially. So removing the need for things like SIM swaps and allowing you to cost optimize and also optimize your coverage remotely. And that's technology that's been introduced and is still evolving and maturing, and particularly in the US, with the US carriers kind of slowly but surely getting on board. And so with all of these questions, it's really about finding a connectivity partner who can help you navigate these areas, and be it an MNO, an MVNO, or an ENO, who's going to be the best provider to help you navigate that. It's really not a simple challenge, and as I say, there's lots of these questions that will remain unanswered after today's session, but always there to help if these come up, and working with experts, even on the hardware side, should be able to help you navigate that minefield to some extent. And so on to the next slide, if possible. And so obviously, it really is an evolving sector, and video telematics is proving to be a really great tool for fleets. It certainly gives you 20/20 vision across your fleet. Those real-time data insights and are really helpful, and really I think one of the big advantages, obviously, the reduction of risk and also driver protection in the fleet, and I think Ryan has a great example of that later, and then increasing efficiency across your fleet as well. So there's lots of benefits that can be taken from adopting video telematics, but also there's a lot of challenges that are associated with it, particularly as if you're pulling the solution together yourself, and that can be things like an exponential increase in data costs. Obviously you're no longer talking about 1 to 5 megabytes, but potentially 1 to 5 gigabytes, and that represents a significant cost difference. And how do you incorporate that into a solution and also kind of explain that value to the end user? The performance of the connectivity also is hugely different. Latency is a big requirement, and then also speed in terms of upload versus download, and making sure that the connectivity solution you provide is tailored for that, as opposed to maybe a consumer service which is more focused on the download than the upload speed. And so there's that to consider. And then, also the infrastructure required, beyond the connectivity itself into the cloud, is also somewhat different. And so, there's a lot of challenges in terms of migrating from a traditional telematics solution to a video telematics solution, and they all need to be considered. And so quickly onto the next slide. So I mean, some of the connectivity pain points that we've kind of identified with customers anyway, just for kind of for your information, you know, global high bandwidth coverage isn't as simple as low bandwidth, and you know, we talked about difference in price between traditional telematics and video telematics, but also, you know, the ability to cover more than one country is also kind of a pain point for a lot of customers. You know, vendor lock-in is also a challenge. You know, being tied to a single provider, you know, in the US alone, you know, it's a huge country, and, you know, coverage varies from, you know, one side of it to the other. And, you know, being able to optimize and things like that is between the carriers, you know, is a challenge at times, and can be a bit of a pain point. You know, and often, you know, supporting multiple applications, be it video or tracking, you know, a lot of flexibility is needed in the data plans to address both of these without being burdensome, or you having to manage, you know, 50 plans and 3, 4, 5 different carriers just to support that. So, you know, it's kind of evolving the need to kind of optimize, and, you know, often inflexibility from a provider can represent a challenge. And as I said, latency and speed, you know, we have seen to be a problem. And so, you know, be it, you know, local breakout or native services, and making sure that they're designed for IoT, and the solution itself, you know, has been a challenge that some of our customers have run into. And really the increased necessity for control over the solution. You know, a video telematics solution running away with data, you know, could cost a lot more than say a tracking device using, you know, pinging a kilobyte every 10 seconds. And so, you know, the costs can accelerate relatively quickly. And so really, you know, control is a pain point for a lot of people getting into the video telematics space. And the pain points don't stop at connectivity. If we move on to the next slide, you know, around the hardware as well, you know, there's also things to consider. Again, making sure that the hardware is supporting the correct technology, has the correct certifications, and is also enabled to work, you know, in the specific region where you have a business, or globally, you know, in terms of module support and LTE bands. And if 3G bands were complicated, then LTE bands take that to another level in terms of how many there are globally. And so, you know, devices kind of covering all of the different requirements is something that, as the market matures, will become more readily available. But as of today, obviously, is something that can be a challenge, and really needs a lot of research. Security of the hardware in itself as well. You know, there's a lot more that can be done over, you know, a video telematics link, and a lot more that can be seen than over, you know, a standard tracking device. And so, you know, making sure that device security is up to scratch, and supplementing that with network security as well is a real challenge. And then also, as I say, managing the differences between different hardware providers, and how they're set up to manage the data connectivity. You know, some manufacturers, you know, will only provide up to a certain level of quality of video, and maybe you need more. And, you know, managing the device and the connectivity up, like, you know, to increase the quality of the video is also a challenge. And also the ability to have access to technical support, particularly when it comes to these changes and optimizing and minimizing data usage and video quality, you know, can be a challenge today. As I say, as the market matures and more offers become available, that will hopefully be addressed. But it's certainly, you know, not seamless today. And so, you know, how do we go about solving these problems? On the next slide, we'll look at that. You know, from a connectivity point of view, you know, working with a provider, a flexible partner with access to multiple providers and across multiple countries, you know, will really help reduce your administrative burden in terms of managing multiple platforms, and can save you time and money, and to focus on the application itself. And I think ensuring IoT specific rate plans is also really important, and will give you longevity and reliability in connection. And we've seen on a number of occasions, you know, consumer rate plans being, you know, missold or misused, and that then, you know, having a knock-on impact in terms of the access to the connectivity on at the application level. So, you know, just making sure that you know, you're supporting the application with the right type of connectivity is important. You know, and selecting a platform with a high level of control, you know, making sure you can set, you know, sensible limits and alerts, which, you know, again, as I mentioned before, in the video telematics space, you know, data, getting out of control is far easier and can happen far quicker than with a regular telematics solution. And then really taking ownership of the SIM card and the network. Markets change and so do price points, etc. And being able to take that control, as I say, looking at things like eSIM, so you can always stay competitive without having to go and touch devices and change SIMs, will be something that you should consider to really kind of solve that pain point moving forward. And then, as I said before, really centralized management of all of these different features and connectivity providers, so that you can focus on the application and deploying more units. And then in terms of resolving the pain points when it comes to hardware, really it's about ensuring the device is verified and certified. To take advantage of some of the technologies, certain SDKs on the module would need to be available from a connectivity point of view, and making sure that all of that's been taken into account by the hardware manufacturer and partner is really important at an early stage. And certain connectivity providers can help you test those and verify those that they're going to work and help you future-proof the connectivity and the application. And really, as I said, the LTE banding piece and making sure that the device you've selected covers your preferred network, because some modules are set up to only work on 2 networks versus all 3 or 4 in the US. And so really making sure that you have that compatibility nailed down, so that you don't, if you want to leverage a different carrier, have to change the device. And then things like 24/7 support or local support for hardware we've seen to be invaluable. And remaining agnostic on the hardware side of life as well would also create more opportunities to be more flexible in your deployment of application. And so really, just to summarize before I hand off, but really, on the next slide, it's just kind of a summary of the solution itself and really where Pod can help, to resolve some of these pain points. And really, we're an IoT specific provider, and we really do try and put the ownership of the connectivity into our customers' hands and to try and ensure that keeps us in check in terms of delivering, a high quality service. And really, from a platform point of view, you just need as much control as possible, build out hierarchies, white label, and enable your channel. So it's about incorporating all the different elements of connectivity, as I say, just beyond megabytes and minutes. And so one final slide from me, just to cover again the importance of the connectivity provider being IoT focused. And then just, as I say, takeaways really should be always kind of explore with, whichever provider you select on eSIM and EUICC capabilities and the ability to touch things with an OTA message, and really take a lot of the administrative stuff off your plate. Don't spend your time negotiating with carriers when other people can do it for you, and provide you with round the clock support. So basically choose a partner that has a lot of experience with telematics and video telematics. And then on the very last slide, there are the different elements of owning and controlling the solution, and I think the other speakers are going to touch on that, but thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sam. Actually, I see a question in the chat that kind of goes straight to the point: which connectivity is the best for video telematics? And it would be great if you could answer that, and also highlighting the differences between MNO, MVNO, and ENO, and why ENO is actually special.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in terms of which connectivity is the best, I think, it really depends on, the application you've built and, what your requirements are. And, particularly for video telematics, because there are so many variables and, depending on the quality of video or even the location, whether you need cross-border, the solution might vary. But, I think one of the big and important things is incorporating flexibility into how you deploy your connectivity. So, avoiding that vendor lock-in and, deploying with modern technology such as eSIM, EUICC, that allows for you to then update the connectivity, if the initial connectivity you've deployed with maybe isn't sufficient or, isn't providing the performance. And so, there's certainly no one size fits all when it comes to connectivity, but, I think making sure you kind of have flexibility by design in that connectivity piece with whichever partner you select is really important. And so that's kind of, I guess, how I'd answer that question. And then in terms of the MNO versus MVNO and where an E&O sits is really kind of like combining, you know, those two concepts. So, you know, taking ownership of the network. For Pod, we have our own core network deployed and our own IP network, depending on the different service. So we can offer a lot of different services and layered services on top of that. So combining kind of some of the elements of the MNO and the MVNO, but then really where an E&O becomes, you know, slightly different is, to say, the kind of ability to provide, you know, network as a service, platform as a service, and then also just kind of incorporating all of the different elements of the connectivity ecosystem, you know, beyond just a piece of plastic and, you know, access to the internet, and really kind of evaluating what's important from a security point of view, and then also kind of like a local breakout point of view and an integration point of view, be it, you know, a standard VPN or a Metro Ethernet connection, or, you know, whether it's important for you to have your own private LTE core deployed behind your own firewall. And so, you know, being able to design these flexible solutions and implementation models is kind of what we think sets an E&O apart from an MVNO, as it kind of takes it to kind of like the next level, and is certainly more consultative than just kind of like customer supplier type relationships, and more of a partnership to enable the enterprise to succeed.
Yeah, thank you so much. So as far as I understand from your presentation, it's not only about like the technology, it's not the supplier customer relationship, it's more like a partner. And you, in this domain, you definitely need someone who will take into account the project, what it's about, what's the customers need, and will be able to provide different solutions, maybe even at the same time.
Exactly, yeah. And I think, you know, it needs to be kind of like customer driven moving forward in terms of what the requirements are as the IoT evolves. And so, you know, because there is no one size that fits all, you know, a provider that can kind of, yeah, help design a solution that's kind of right for your specific needs is what's important.
Okay, great. So Sam, thank you so much for your expertise. I would like to encourage our audience to leave the questions in our question section, or like leave the comments in the chat. In case you have any other questions to Sam, we will get back to that at the very end of the webinar. So use the possibility. We already discussed the connectivity side. So now let's switch to the software, basically, side. Let's check what Jan has to say about the software. So right platform for video telematics should contain several features, which Jan will show you in a few moments. So on the next slide, you will see what those features are. So we will discuss live streaming, of course. So it's a must-have functionality where you can see your fleet right here, right now. Event-based video, where the platform triggers particular, like the recording after a particular event. Historic playback in case, for example, you need to back up some insurance claims. And also the reporting functionality, just to make sure that you kind of see the full picture of your fleet. And beware of the spoilers, because Jan will show you our updated video solution that will be available for our customers very, very soon. So Jan, would you please take it from here?
Sure. Thank you, Kseniya. Today we are going to review new beta features of our IoT platform, hardware agnostic video tab. You can see the video tab listed on our top menu. If you go to it, you could see the three sections here: live stream, playback, and files. Live stream goes from its naming and allows you to see what's going on right now. All of the units that are capable for live streaming will be placed here. You can search for it and also see how many cameras are available right now with this number. You can enter the full screen mode and also play and stop the video. In the unit properties, you can change the name of the cameras and, let's say, call it like front camera, back camera, etc. Files contains different cuts of videos, and you can create an event-based uploading of the video based on the notification triggered by, let's say, speed or alarm. Let's create a new notification. And for our case, we will choose the parameter in a message as a trigger type. And let's choose the parameter status1, which will be responsible for the alarm in our case. And as the measures that should be taken after the notification triggered, we will choose display an online notification and also save video as a file. You can see here that you can indicate the duration before the event and after the event, but no more than 60 seconds. Here we indicate the text of notification, and let's call it like video save for all messages. The triggers of notification could be different. It could be entering the specific location, different sensor values like temperature sensor or the pressure value, or entering specific location, or maybe alarm state, speeding, as I mentioned before. Once the notification triggered, the video will be saved into files. You can watch it and also save it as a file. Okay. Also, you could filter them by the type of notification. Okay. Playback feature allows you to see the recording of the video. Yeah. Here we indicate the unit, camera, and the period for which we would like to see the stream in the past. Let's wait for a moment. Yeah. And here we could see the video. Also, on the timeline, you could select a specific period and save it to files as well. Here you can indicate the duration before and after the event, and also assign a specific tag, which stands basically for the notification type. And the cut will be saved into files as well. Also, we added a possibility to see the videos in the reports. We indicate the template for the video, also our unit, and we specify the interval. And here we could see our video as well. And we could watch it actually. Okay. That was our short overview of our new video model. I hope you like it, and I pass the floor back to Kseniya.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jan. I would say from my side that the concept of Wialon's video module kind of mirrors what Sam mentioned about connectivity. That's something which is customizable and can be modified depending on the project of the customer. And also on Wialon side, we also have Wialon implementation consultants like Jan that I'm lucky to have today, which assists with the settings of the platform, which suggests the best way to use it. And that's definitely not a kind of supplier-customer relationship. Is more like a consultant. It's more like a partner relationship, and that's basically the core of our business model. Okay, so we have questions. We have questions. So, do you have a demo for the platform, which actually driving? You mean? I think you mean the vehicle running, right? I don't think so. Jan.
You mean the video?
I think that our viewer would like to see the vehicle with the cameras installed. I don't think that we have.
No, we do not have it yet.
Not at this point, because it's a beta version, and we have the devices installed in the office basically. Okay, so the question is, when will this new solution be available? Else, is it possible to include camera number on video download report? So to answer the first question, when this video solution will be available, you can test it right away. However, the official release would be by the end of May. Jan, the second question, is it possible to include camera number on video download report?
You mean the camera name, the camera number. For now, it's not available. In the report, there will be representation of the video from the all cameras and the time when it was captured.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next question, which devices, type and brand do you recommend? It's a very difficult question because each time we recommend a device, we try to investigate what the customer needs, what the device should do, because there are, for example, dash cams that facing the driver that will be convenient for one type of projects, but at the same time there are MDVRs which are also able to capture vehicle information, which allow to connect multiple cameras, so it's really like depends on the project. Okay, so let me check whether we have any other questions maybe in the chat. Okay, so the question from Joshua, for that example shared, where is the video data stored? What is the required setup to get the video online via Wialon?
Yeah, okay. So for now, you do not need any servers to keep the video. It will be kept on our side, and you could request this video. The playback feature is available for 2 days, I think. If you want to save this video for the, I don't know, for the the more
longer period of time.
Yeah, something like that. You can just cut the video and save it to the files.
So the next question is a bit related to that. In case of StreamX, the media server is maintained by us, so the customer, or by Gurtam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just let me specify that our solution is hardware agnostic, and it allows you to work with MDVRs without any intermediate servers.
Okay, that's great. Next question, is the video watermarked to identify its source as well as the validity and veracity of the data in a courtroom environment? I don't think so.
No, it is not.
No, it is not. Okay. With historic playback, is it limited? Okay, so the chat exploded, too many questions. So with historic playback, is it limited to single cam view, or like with the event-based video, can you play back multiple cameras?
The playback can play multiple cameras. As you have seen, there is a unit system. So we have units and several cameras available, and you can view the playback from all of the cameras.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so okay, we have a lot of questions in the chat in the questions tab. Okay, so let us continue with the webinar for the moment, and in case we have some time in the end, we will answer some of them. We will make sure to answer. If we don't have enough time, we will follow up here after the webinar with the answers. Okay. So now we kind of had connectivity and software part. So now let's move to Ryan and see and hear a bit more about the devices and about how everything works together. So Ryan will talk about pod connectivity, Wialon-based app, FTVision, and also StreamX devices, how it is combined in one solution.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Kseniya. Ryan Clemons, Choice Wireless Solutions. We are a value-added reseller of telematic hardware and services based in Arizona, USA. Probably over 30 years combined experience in the telematics world, and having a bunch of fun with video as we speak. If you can go to the next slide. So I'm going to play a short video here to show the impact of video telematics and what it means to the end user and its value. When we talk to our clients, you know, the biggest thing that this solves is liability, right? As you can see here, this truck driver really is not at fault. That's indisputable evidence. Go ahead and play the next video, please. This is another camera that's installed that's showing a different angle. And if you look at the driver too, you can kind of see him, you know, wince and stress and go, oh no, there he goes. You know, without this video telematics, you know, that driver could have claimed that the truck was speeding, the truck was not in the right lane, all types of things. But with this video, it's irrefutable and it exonerates the driver right away. Next slide, please. So we are a distributor of StreamX. We sell, stock, and support StreamX cameras. StreamX has a very large portfolio of cameras, from dash cams to MDVRs and all types of different cameras, from ADHD cameras to IP cameras. You name it, they kind of have it. So these cameras, you know, they reduce liability, as you saw in the video, to improve safe driving. It exonerates the drivers, and drivers automatically drive safer just knowing that they're being surveilled. The StreamX cameras offer built-in artificial intelligence, also known as AI, which is the newest and greatest thing. ADAS, which stands for Advanced Driver Assistance System, is a feature that where the camera is using artificial intelligence to warn the driver and also upload video for lane departure warning, which is when the vehicle goes outside of its lane. Forward collision warning is a feature where the camera is predicting that you may be about to strike a car in front of you. Headway monitoring, which is following too closely. The cameras are able to see this. They coach the driver, but they also upload the evidence automatically to the servers. The cameras also feature DSM, which is driver status monitoring. Again, warning and recording drivers for things such as when they're on their phone, while they're driving, distracted driving, smoking, fatigue. Those are all things that the driver status monitoring do. And then there's the basic driving behavior, which is with the embedded accelerometer inside the camera, we're able to see where you know that you're turning a corner too fast, you're accelerating too fast, you hit the brakes too hard, and of course a collision, right? So if a collision occurs, that evidence is automatically recorded and uploaded. The cameras typically use anywhere from one or two SD cards that go pretty high up in memory, and you can continually be recording evidence for days, quite honestly. So you can go back in time and retrieve the physical SD cards from the camera, or through the server and through the Wialon platform and the FTVision platform, you can actually request the video at any time back in history. But all these cameras are highly configurable. You can make it basically not do much except for record and then request video on demand, or you can have it automatically uploading videos based on these events that I just discussed. Next slide, please. So a standard setup for video telematics is you know, the most basic would be a dash cam that's mounted on the windshield of the vehicle that's facing out towards the road. And that's your most basic setup that's going to record the road and most likely record collisions or wrongdoings by other drivers, or if unfortunately your driver. But there's a lot of other options that come with it, including driver-facing cameras, cameras that can go in the back, cameras that can go on the side. But a basic solution would be the dash cam and a driver-facing camera. Those cameras are connected via connectivity such as pod, and That data is then sent to the Wialon server and also FT Vision server or other server platforms. Next slide, please. So FT Vision is a platform that's tied into Wialon and has a single sign-on. And it's kind of a separate platform, but it is a way to log in and see the videos, the evidence, and also program the cameras. Next slide, please. So on the FT Vision platform, this does lovely things like shows my ugly mug here, but you can see here that we have an evidence where someone's on the phone. And in this particular setup, there's actually 3 cameras. You have one camera that's facing forward. We have one camera that's facing the driver, which is known as the DSM camera. That's the black and white camera that's actually tracking the eyeballs, you know, really honed in on the driver to understand if he's fatigued, he's smoking, he's on his phone. And then there's another camera installed that's a wide angle camera. As you can see here, that's covering the entire cab of the vehicle. So with the FT Vision platform, you can easily find and review evidence. You can request video on demand. So for instance, if there were to be a claim that yesterday a driver tried to run somebody off the road, that particular evidence may not be uploaded because it may not be registered as a harsh corner, harsh turn, but you can go back in time at noon yesterday and pull a snippet of that video to see if in fact that driver was, you know, if that accusal is accurate. So it's highly configurable. There's email alerts that are available also for evidence videos that can be sent. And these cameras are configurable over the air. And of course, the firmware can be deployed over the air as well. Next slide, please. So here's an example of some of the evidence uploads that are coming from the camera. So we have rapid acceleration. And as you can see, it's configurable to the point where you can say, you know, give me 6 seconds before and 6 seconds after the rapid acceleration occurred, or 10 seconds. You can configure that depending upon your needs, and also keep in mind how much video you want to use. So, you know, the more robust you make the application, the more data you're going to use, therefore the more higher data plan or higher bandwidth you would need. And we understand the configuration of all this, and we can help you with all that. So based upon your use case and our experience, we can help you with configuring the cameras, getting them set up properly so that you have the most optimal experience for yourself and your end users. So you can see here, there's a driver smoking. It caught, that's not actually a real cigarette, that's a Nerf bullet that simulated that. It worked quite well. Driver distracted, following too close, and then of course driver fatigue, which is falling asleep. The system also offers a heads-up display or an in-cabin display for coaching. As you can see here, it's the called the R-Watch from StreamX, but this is a little feedback device that's about 1 inch by 1 inch and provides little icons for the driver, letting him know, hey, we're seeing you smoking, we're seeing you on your phone. Next slide, please. So we are your one-stop solution for StreamX cameras, and we also carry a lot of other telematic hardware. But for StreamX cameras, we're a stocking distributor with stock typically available here in Arizona. We offer local USA support. So I think everybody touched on that earlier. That's been a big challenge. You can actually call somebody here, and we understand the cameras. We understand Wialon quite well. We can help answer your questions and get everything up and running, but also assist post-installation. We're also a partner with Pod. We can offer competitive data rate plans through them, along with the support with their services. And we also have some other value-added resources that go along with Pod, including our own portal. And probably one of the biggest things with these cameras is the installation, the deployment can be complex. And so we will hold your hand with that. When we ship the cameras based upon what your needs are, we will insert the SIMs, whether that be our SIMs through Pod or whether they're your SIMs through Pod or any other SIM. We insert the SD cards for you. We configure the devices, and we also will power up the units and confirm connectivity prior to shipping. And that's a huge deal. Customers really like that because when they get the product, they don't have to touch it. You know, they can go sell. We take care of all that for them. And I think that's my last slide.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Okay, Okay, there are questions. One of the questions is kind of, I think, streaming solution related, so maybe you'll be able to answer. With a dual lens camera, is the video from inside and outside synced, so synchronized?
Yes, they're all time-stamped, so yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, also there are other questions to you. Maria is asking you to share your contact details, so please drop your email in the chat. Okay, so to Ryan, is there any statistics in driver smoking detection in percents? How if driver closes cigarette in hand, so basically kind of tries to hide the cigarette? Well,
I'm sure there's some percentages. I don't have that available. That's something we could try to find. We're not selling the services, so we don't have visibility into the actual use cases unless our customers share directly. And what was the last half of that question? I don't think I understood that part.
What if the driver hides the cigarette by the hand? So will the system be able to detect this?
Yeah, so I mean, it's, this is artificial intelligence. It's not a perfect science. It is looking for an object, obviously, and it is also looking for the possibility of smoke. Again, if somebody really wants to hide it, they could probably duck away from the camera and take a drag from the cigarette as well. But overall, again, like I said before, most drivers understand that they're being watched, and they can try to do that, but eventually they're probably going to get caught.
Okay, so another question that I will be able to answer, I think. With Wialon, do we still need FT Vision? Can Wialon replace FT Vision? So, I would say that that's a question of preference. What UI you prefer. And also, I would like to highlight that the video solution that we showed you today will be released very soon. So it's kind of, it was kind of spoiler alert here. So don't run to drop your FT Vision. Maybe you would prefer to stick to that. Okay, so, and also an interesting question from Elizabeth, and maybe Ryan, you will be able to share your opinion, and also I will ask other speakers. So from your perspective, what primary markets are driving this growth in video telematics? Like it's first responders or maybe other like niches that drives the growth in video solution?
Well, over-the-road trucking is a big one, right? I mean, vehicles that are, any vehicle with a name badge on the side of it is a little bit of a target in accidents, right? So it's hard to say any specific industry other than to say fleet vehicles that have their names on the side seem to be targeted, for lack of a better word, whereby they are in an accident where they're not at fault, but the person that is involved in that accident sees a big company name and dials 1-800-lawyer from a commercial they heard on the radio. So from a marketing perspective, we do see a lot of heavier duty at-risk trucks that can cause a lot of damage are particularly interested in this. More so than say maybe a taxi cab, but then on the other side of that, a taxi cab has different liabilities where they're maybe more interested in what's going on inside the vehicle. So that's another use case altogether where it's not so much liability of a collision, whereas it might be more liability from the driver interacting with passengers. So I don't know. I don't think that's a great direct answer, but that's the answer.
Yeah, maybe Sam, you have your opinion here.
Yeah, I think kind of our experience is generally kind of like the large trucking companies that we've like worked with directly or our customers have worked with, and that seems to be where we're getting the most demand. But I mean, we have had conversations with people. I think it was interesting you brought up taxis, Ryan. I think particularly with things like Uber drivers or Lyft drivers or something along those lines, and that there's sometimes not a lot of love for them as well, and they can also become targets. And so, they're looking to protect themselves, particularly if they're leasing cars, so that they're not liable for the cost of that. And there is a specific company out there actually developing a system specifically for rideshare drivers to protect themselves against any kind of wrongful claims and things. So I think that market may well increase, as the technology matures. But obviously, price point is something that is important for mass adoption now. I think these kind of like really advanced solutions that we've been talking about today aren't necessarily appropriate.
Yeah, thank you so much. And probably the last question to Gurtam expert. So the question is to you, Jan. So Gurtam don't store videos, right? Only download directly from a DVR. And also, how about the delay in seconds in live view?
I just received an update from our developer teams. And the playback of video will be available for the previous 2 weeks, not 2 days. And so we kind of store it for 2 weeks. And the second part is about, let me check there. So what we have right now on the live stream is latency about I think it's 0 seconds. Yeah. I hope I answered to your questions.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, something in chat. Okay, so there are a lot of questions in the chat, and we will make sure to get back to you by email after this webinar. Also, this recording will be available on the YouTube, so you will be able to rewatch this. There are questions related to StreamX distributors in South Africa. Please allow me to get back to you on this. I'm sure we have someone local from StreamX that will be able to assist you. So yeah, dear experts, thank you so much for your presentations today, for the expertise that you shared. And as Sam highlighted today, this niche is on the rise, definitely, and the presentation is not very high at this point. Moreover, the more 5G networks we see, the more possibilities of the growth for video telematics we also see. So I would say that that's a high time to look into video telematics niche in case you are not working in it right now, and also to see how you can answer the demand of the customer. So, and as this webinar kind of shows, it's not always, not only about the technology or the product, it's also about the expertise of the supplier and the expertise of the implementation of this video solution. So I would say that this expertise is something that is sort of a glue that combines all those elements and make the project actually work. So yeah, in case you're interested to test the solutions that you saw today, for example, pod connectivity or Gurtam new telematics or new video module. So we are offering 1 month of free trial. So please don't hesitate to contact us. And of course, if you need a full solution, if you're based in the US, you would need to have full solution. You have Ryan's contacts in the chat. So also contact him and he will be able to guide you and to provide you also some trial possibilities of Wialon and of pod connectivity for sure. So thank you so much everyone for joining and for your active participation. We saw an enormous number of questions today. Just remind you that's the first webinar of Gurtam about and around video telematics. We are planning our next event on May 26th. It would be a webinar together with Autonica manufacturer, which released their new video solution. So it's also not something to be missed. Thank you once again, and stay safe.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.